Oh, dear, Andy, what the hell are we going to do with you? I've just got to wait for it to start.
Oh, get it together, Birkey. Jesus.
I'm trying.
There we go. Good God.
He's incognito.
Someone going to beat him now.
There we go. Perfect. I'm in.
Andy, do you want to do your public service announcement?
Yeah. Hold on just a second. Let me get my phones on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just about.
Go.
Go and do your public service announcement.
You are here of your own free will. What are you doing with your life?
This isn't our fault. What you're about, because you decided to be here, not us.
Right, and with that, I shall start the show. Unfortunately, Richard's not with us today. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. So anyway, here we go.
Richard doesn't know how to cook a can of friggin' beans. That's why he's not here. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
we could have taught him.
Could have. It's all coulda, woulda, shoulda. Anyway, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, whatever time you're listening. Today with us, as usual, Mr. Chris Q.
Hey, what's up?
Coming back again, Andy Birkey.
Andy, podcast. Audio helps.
Your podcast has jumped the shark when I get back on here.
It's true. It's true.
Joining us for the first time and hopefully not the last, Franco.
Hey, evening.
So there we go. That's the introductions of the peoples on here. We'll get the sponsors out of the way just real quick. So just a quick reminder that the podcast is brought to you today in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad over at Man Crafting, who brings us these awesome powder coated Yeti mugs. Pan from Highland Boxes, who gives us the resin hybrid blanks. Steve at High Nail Media, who sorts out and takes all my credit for doing the podcast website. That's about it all. So all information and all that good stuff can be found over on our podcast website at makesinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. Chris, do we have any questions?
We have a lot of questions, but before I dive into those, I want to let people know the premise of why we're doing this show today. First of all, we've wanted to do a show about cooking for quite some time. We just haven't gotten around to it. But the opportunity arose because Andy and Franco tend to go off on one another on Facebook when it comes to food. It's like, so
just a little bit.
Franco has this, and Franco has this really bad habit of posting food that will make you immediately hungry every Sunday. Sometime just before you're thinking about, I might want to get something to eat. And then, Franco posts these pictures of the food that he made that day. And you kind of go, huh? And then whatever you had in mind to have goes right out the window. And it's like, no, I want that. I want that. And, you're left with a burger or whatever, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you had. And then Andy's here because he's on his crusade to make tacos the next greatest thing, which is never going to freaking happen. So I ain't worried about it. Anyway, but these Berkey's face.
Okay, I see how this is going now.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's the reason why they're here. And I know a little bit about cooking myself, which is why I have the hat, Chef Boyard Chris. Anyway,
and I'm just a referee.
Yeah, please keep Birkey from murdering me.
Again.
Wait, can you do that twice?
I think so.
If you're Italian, yes.
Oh, I see how this is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like a cat with 9 lives. Yeah, you can murder me like 8 times. The 9th time is when it's really going to hurt. All right. I have questions. If you'd like to start off with this thing with the questions, and I want to get into talking about cooking, because I mean, are we out of line here by saying that cooking is an art of making?
Oh,
I'd say so.
Not even an argument for me. I mean, to me, it was the first thing I learned to make was cooking with my mom. So yeah, it's a gateway as far as I'm concerned.
Franco?
Yeah, the love of working with my hands came from my parents. Immigrants from Italy and coming over, and it's all we did was work with our hands, and that came from love with food to, you got to fix the shit in the house.
Yeah.
If you want to feed your face.
Yeah.
Make a pizza pie.
So Franco, have you gotten the green card yet? I'm just curious.
I was born here.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Whatever. Do you have a green card?
I got a couple of those. I got a guy.
Let's see it. Let's check the papers. That's the thing. We need to check his papers.
We could deport him and you'd be done with it.
Let's not get political here. Come on.
Oh, no. We're not going to go there. Thank you very much. Not today.
Your passport. Sure. What one do you want to see?
All right. Here's contrasting opinions question number 1, because there are going to be people who disagree on this one. Pineapple on pizza, gentlemen. This is from Andy Pugh. Andy, once again, thank you for your questions that annoy everybody. Thank you for your lovely questions. We appreciate it. Pineapple on pizza. Is it the work of the devil or is it pure genius, in your opinion? I'll let Birkey go with that one.
Oh, you want me to go first on that one? I will say this. Do I think it's a pure pizza? No, I do not. However, anytime I can get the complexity of salt versus sweet, to me, that's an interesting combo, especially with tomato sauce having its own kind of struggle going on between sweetness and acidity and all that good stuff. So yeah, I like that stuff. I don't eat it very often, but I will definitely do it. Yeah.
Franco, work of the devil or no?
Salty and sweet does it for me. So I will sneak it on every now and again. Don't tell a lot of my friends. But no, it's good. I mean, anything on pizza, anything can go on pizza. I'm an experimental kind of guy.
Boom.
Pizza. Actually, I'm not a big fan. I guess I'm kind of more along like Andy. I'm not a big fan of pineapple on pizza. I'm not. I mean, we used to make one in one of the first restaurants I worked at. We used to call it like a Hawaiian pizza, and I think we used Canadian bacon and we used pineapple, and then we used to cover it with like almonds. But it was on a red sauce and mozzarella cheese. It was just one of those things. It was like, I had it and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like I didn't really want it.
It's not my first choice.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Andy,
pineapple.
You look puzzled, Mr. Birkey. What's the problem?
Well, I'm curious, Jamie. What's the scope on that kind of thing in Kent?
Oh, there's an option for it when you go to order, but it's just not my preference.
Right.
The only time I ever have pineapple really in the meal is when I have it on its own, or when you're at a party, people put like a piece of pineapple, a small pickled onion, and a bit of cheese on a cocktail stick, and then come out like a hedgehog.
That is absolutely the truth.
So for the audio audience, which I happen to be one of them, Birkey's picking on me.
That is so not true. Jamie was having a very solid point.
And while he was making that point, Birkey just happened to hold up a card that said Franco was a jerk.
That's rumors, only rumors. And
he's talking about seasoning.
Right.
No, but wait. Before we move on any further, though, Franco, why don't you hold up that glass you're drinking out of real quick? Franco's drinking out of what you would call a mason jar,
yes.
And it looks like Sterling Davis's moonshine. I could be wrong.
I'm flying.
Danger.
All right, pineapple on pizza is Jamie. Do you like it? I mean, is that something you did?
No, I'm not a fan.
Okay, fan. I'm not really a big fan either. Okay.
What's fun though is sriracha sauce on pineapple or watermelon. That to me is a really cool summer appetizer.
So that's something over here called deep fried pineapple fritters.
Oh, okay, all
There's
right.
obviously pineapple in a batter, which they would normally put around fish.
Like a beer batter that you would put around a fish?
Yeah, like a beer batter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now a little bit of watermelon, hit it on the grill to get those grill marks. A little bit of salt. You go.
Oh, pepper, fresh ground pepper.
That sounds interesting.
Okay, let's get through these questions because I really want to delve into what some of the.
I am
Chris,
sound.
a little bit of drool coming out of the corner of your mouth.
No, I'm fine.
I need a towel. I need a towel.
I'll just drink more. It's fine. And then I'll probably slobber more, but it won't because I'm hungry. All right? This one's to you, Andy. Is it okay to have table saw tacos on other days besides Tuesday?
Wait a minute. How many days of the week are there? 7. So yeah, every day.
That's good. That's good, Andy. Yay! Everybody, give Andy a round of applause for knowing the days of the week.
Very
good. Very good.
I'd like to thank the Academy. And,
Don't forget, on Sundays you can have a scroll sauce salad.
yes, scroll saw salad on Sunday. Other than that, it's tacos, table saw all week long. My favorite little taco stand is literally 2.5 blocks that way, and they know me well.
So it's table saw Twenday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Twiday, Twatterday, Twenday.
Saturday.
Okay.
That's so wrong. It's so wrong.
It isn't right. But I mean, it's from Berkey, so what do you expect?
Exactly.
Here's another one specifically for you, Andy. And Jesus, Andy Pugh must really like you because he's got a lot of questions for you, Andy.
A highly intelligent individual.
Let's not go too far, okay? I mean, I like Andy. I like Andy as much as everybody else, but I mean, let's not get nuts here. One specifically for Andy. Why are Welsh cakes the best thing that Franco has never had?
Because, in my opinion, Franco is born in hell.
Hey, who told you?
This man is not right. This guy right here is that guy. He's not right. However, are completely right.
Well,
Maybe
Pew
he's
is
been-
right. I have not had Welsh cakes.
So for the American audience, and Jamie, if you want to jump in here and explain, what exactly is a Welsh cake?
It's a cake from Wales.
Simple as hell. Just simple.
Okay.
It's hard to describe, but it's a tea. I guess you call it a tea.
Is it like a scone? I can't quite remember, to be honest. I think it's like a scone or scone. Depends on how you pronounce it.
A little bit.
It's a tea cake.
Yeah, kind of.
Andy will
fruit
probably
in it.
kill us for saying that, but that's what to me, you sit down at 10 o'clock and have a nice cup of tea with a half of a truckload of Welsh cakes, and you're going to be happy.
Yeah,
You're
agreed.
gonna get a lot.
But it takes a half a truckload. So don't spare on the amount you order. All right. Franco, this one's going to deliver right to you because you, my friend, happen to be the only Italian in the room, all right? So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask Judah this a question, all right?
That's too much. It's too much.
I'm Irish. What do you want? I mean, I can't do this stuff. Deep dish pizza or thin crust?
Thin crust all day, New York style.
Oh, that's my man. He's a man after my heart. All right, Andy, what about you?
Neapolitan all day long. Cracker. You get that. A pizza should not be in the oven longer than 90 seconds, in my opinion.
It needs to fold. Insert.
To me, I like that cracker. I like a little more crunch than that, Frank. I respect that. There's no doubt about it. But to me, I'm living near Chicago, which they believe that pizza is basically lasagna. And Neapolitan all day long. If you can't see through the crust, you're doing something wrong.
I tend to agree with Andy on that one. Jamie, what about you? I mean, are you
We don't really get many options in the UK. Either it turns up in a box soggy, and that's your option.
Just make it yourself. Just make it.
You live closer to Italy than we do. What the hell?
Yeah. It's like take it or get a kebab. That's kind of your that's your options.
All right.
See,
let me ask a question real quick. Wood fired or oven fired?
wood fired, yeah.
Yeah, wood fired pizza.
I was going to say, going along with that, Chris, is one of my ultimate builds would be to do a dome-shaped pizza oven in my backyard.
Oh, me too.
I know Wayne the Woodturner's got a backyard oven, pizza oven. I'll be paying him a visit.
Yeah, I want that bad.
See, we grew up. Pizza was like, interchangeable with slices of bread. So you could put salami and just fold it right up.
Well, you got to get that because
Nice.
what Franco's talking about is that New York roll. Because you got to be able to fold a New York pizza to actually really enjoy it. If you ever been to New York City and had New York pizza, and you watch anybody who knows what they're doing in New York eating a pizza, they don't take the slice and kind of go. They go no, it's in the mouth, and yeah, it's all good.
Question for Franco: where are your folks from in Italy? And tell me about the differences that you know of regionally in pizza in Italy.
Pizza in Italy is not as big of a deal as it is here in the United States. Neapolitan is all you get, and it's all you should get while you're over there too. My parents are from Rome. There's a little bit farther south, my grandfather had a vineyard that my dad grew up on, and they came over in the 70s. But yeah, if the type of style, the type of peasant pizza we had was just dough flattened out on a cookie sheet. The sauce that you make for pasta goes right on top of that, and then whatever meat you got in the fridge.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
So I always thought Neapolitan was an ice cream.
It's that too.
Well, because there are people out there who are watching right now that I'm assuming don't know how to cook, and that's why they're here today, because they're going, I wonder if they can teach me anything. What is a Neapolitan pizza, in your opinion?
It's a wood-fired
Strawberry,
pizza.
vanilla, and chocolate.
Strawberry,
bastard.
vanilla, and chocolate, right?
It's a cake that you slice and you serve it.
Good crust on Neapolitan ice cream.
Wow, I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead, Franco.
No, just a simple flour dough, hand tossed, thrown in with just a barely little bit of sauce, fresh mozzarella, basil. You're done.
Done.
Doesn't
it's
get any better.
And it's
Here's
heaven.
the dealio with cooking, I think, and argue with me on this one. Come at me, bro. The simplest ingredients, the fewest that you need, and just let them make the argument for you that you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be a good cook. Just let the ingredients do the show. Spend a couple of bucks, get something fresh.
Money. It's the same thing as making furniture, right? You can make it out of number 3 pine, and you can do some incredible work with it.
Sure.
And you drop in some mahogany, and all of a sudden you're Chippendale.
Yep. Living a bit larger. All right. So enough with the pizza, Andy.
Can I just quickly ask one more question about pizza? Emma out in the chat says, "What's your thoughts on eggs on pizza?"
Love it.
Ugh.
I think I had it one time. It's okay.
Yeah, throw it on the grill. Well, the dough's getting all puffy. You get a little bit of sauce going. You crack the egg right on it.
Really?
Take it back out. Put a little arugula, a little balsamic on top of that. You're flying.
So you keep the yolk runny then, I assume. That you break it and spread it over the pizza then, or?
Breakfast pizza, man. You cut right through it with your pizza roller.
No, breakfast pizza for me is the pizza that was left over from last night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
I have done an Alfredo with scrambled eggs and do that sausage or bacon. Do that kind of pizza for the morning.
No,
nephews think that's.
Well, I'm biased because I can't eat eggs anyway. So yeah, no, that just immediately made my those glands in the back of your mouth. They all of a sudden start watering. Yeah, that happened to me right now. It's like I don't think so. Okay. No, I'm not lying about that either. That's the truth. What Another Andy question. My God, Andy, you are one inquisitive SOB. Gentlemen, Andy, Franco, take your turns. Whoever wants to chime in first, go ahead. What one meal would you cook for guests if you knew they were coming to visit? If it was your choice to cook Franco or Andy's best for the guests that are coming, what would you cook?
Go ahead, man.
Caprese salad. That's fresh mozzarella, tomato, olive oil, basil, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and then just handmade pasta with some of our sauce from my dad's garden, and then that's about it. Then it would be coffee and cookies and.
Nobody likes you, Franco. I swear to God, you just made me hungry again. Oh my God, that man can do it. Andy, what about you? I mean, do you have a dish that you would make for people that would come on over? If you not that you're trying to impress them, just you going, I know I can kick this one out and everybody's going to like it. What is it?
It's a little dependent on the audience, but probably what I would do is either a lasagna that's 4 inches deep, or probably if I was really like my nephews or something that have what I consider to be an educated palate, I would definitely do a ceviche with fresh tortillas, and then I would finish it off with that. Would have a nice white wine with it, probably a Sauvignon, I would think.
Blanc.
Ooh, mine would be.
I would finish it off with a Nutella gelato that I make.
Oh, you son of a!
I was going to add mine, but I give up.
Have you ever had ceviche, Chris?
Yes, I have, and believe it or not, I've had Nutella gelato too. But it wasn't just the Nutella; it was back in college, and there were some other things in the gelato. Anyway, what meal that you've and I found this to be a hard question. Maybe you guys will find it hard as well, because I'm not going to go there. What meal that you've never previously had would you like to try? Is there something you've heard of that you've never had that you went, I might give that a go?
I've got one.
All right, give it to me, Franco.
All right, I've never had it. I've seen it brought out. It looks interesting. I don't know if I could hold it in, but I'd always wanted to try haggis.
Oh my, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody in Scotland right now is raising the flag going, yay, Franco!
I wonder if we can get you proper haggis shipped over to you.
Proper haggis, not that run-of-the-mill stuff.
Things in the back of your jaw.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can get that shipped over to you. Proper haggis.
Andy, please don't say haggis. Is there please don't.
No, mine isn't specific as much as an experience. I want to wander down the streets in Beijing and just do one of those street food where everything's on a stick and some of it is completely random. I really want to do that.
See, mine is very similar to that. It's not that I've never had sushi before. It's just I would like to go to Japan and go to a proper sushi place and have the spread laid out and go, let's have some of this. Because I'm not a huge fan of sushi, but I like it, and so, but I would like to have it done where it's done. You know what I'm saying? But I like street food too. Yeah.
Talking about the crossover between, if there is a crossover between making and cooking, there it is right there. That's art. Those dudes are making art. I mean, not like that rubbish that Franco posts on Instagram.
Oh, you son of a... Every time.
You had to know it was coming.
It's constantly coming.
But there's one thing I would never try. They have there's a delicacy in Japan that can kill you if it's not properly prepared.
Oh, is it the fish?
It's the blowfish. Yeah, the pufferfish. Yeah, they actually no. It's like, no, you know what? Just not that inquisitive, dude. Really, I'm not. Jamie, what is there anything you haven't had that you would like to go? Maybe someday. And don't say Neapolitan.
Strawberry chocolate.
I'll tell you what, that Nutella gelato sounds quite nice.
Dang right, baby.
I I don't really know, to be honest. Not that I can think of offhand.
You should try fish and chips sometime, Jamie.
I should do. What's funny is when I went to the States last time, someone actually suggested I go to a certain part of Oregon to try fish and chips. I'm like, dude,
Nope, don't do it.
So I live in England, at the seaside, where they sell fish and chips, proper fish and chips.
I'm not going to Oregon. That's like somebody going, they got the best fish and chips in Wyoming. That's no, they don't. I can guarantee they do not.
They'll serve it with the.
Actually, Cole Jacobs was in the chat. He said Jamie wants an English muffin. Because it is a little fun fact. Over in England, they call them muffins, but over in the States, they call them English muffins.
Just so clear.
So what's the difference between a crumpet and a muffin?
Ooh.
So a crumpet is it's a round disc that you toast, and it's real fluffy, and it basically you just soak it in butter, and they're both. A muffin is more something like what the McDonald's used for having their McDonald's.
Don't bring up McDonald's during a cooking show.
but that's what they use for their McMuffins.
So a crumpet is basically the way the English, kind of ripped off the croissant from France, and that's what they ended up with. Because
but they fill it with what do you call it? Was it nitrous oxide, whatever it is? And
so every time you eat one, you talk like Mickey Mouse, right?
they put some sort of gas in it because there was a shortage, I remember, not so long ago, and to make it all bubbly.
Really we represent the lollipop kids.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, last question. Well, actually, there's one more after this, but the final question will get us into actually talking about maybe semi-serious stuff, even though I seriously doubt that'll happen. No, yeah, probably not. And Andy, I'm going to preface this myself by saying it depends if I'm the one cooking it or if somebody else is. But I'm Franco. Andy, this goes to you first. On your last day on Earth, okay, you're on death row. You've both been convicted of murdering each other.
Again?
But somehow you're still alive, but you're both facing the death sentence, and they ask you what your last meal on Earth is going to be. What would be your perfect breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So let's start with breakfast. And Franco, don't get all balls nuts on me, all right? Because I know I've seen your stuff.
For breakfast, I would probably, because I'd be feeling kind of, sketchy emotional, I would probably go old school, and I would do bacon white gravy on baking powder biscuits.
Wow.
So rather than a sausage biscuit, you'd have a bacon biscuit.
Yeah, and the way my mom made it, for whatever reason, she always used bacon instead of sausage.
Awesome. Franco, breakfast.
Italian sausage, cut down the length.
Of course.
Put it flash burn it right there in the pan. Crack some eggs right next to it. Flip that whole thing over. It's all crackling with all the oils. And then a nice piece of ciabatta just to soak up all that.
All that, yeah,
all the goodness.
Waste.
So, your last day on Earth is not the time to give the Portuguese a chance to get in there with the sausage. This is, No.
Okay. Everything that'll give you a heart attack is what you're having the last day.
Oh, yeah.
Because knock on wood, you die before they execute you. All right.
That's not a heart attack meal. You want a full English breakfast. That's a heart attack meal.
Ooh, yeah.
And that could be a close second behind what I said.
I honestly don't eat breakfast, so I'll go with a cup of coffee. Now, all right, lunch. I don't. I've never have. Even as a kid, I didn't eat breakfast. Lunch. Siesta time. Come on, think.
Well, the evil side of me says a big giant bowl of beans, because screw the guy who's pulling the lever on me.
That's not right.
Franco's going to make him pay for that. You want to release this gas? Go right ahead.
That is some sick stuff right there.
You have a choice. You have a choice of B&M beans or, anyway. Oh my God. That's what is Never mind. Moving on. And
You know what? Out of respect to, I'm gonna hammer some asada tacos, man. I'm gonna do steak tacos, street style, cilantro and onion, hot sauce, nothing else. Just maybe a little bit of queso blanco on there, just a little bit, and some lime. Done. A couple of beers with that per taco.
If it's my last day, if it's my last day, I'm having more than a couple. But you know what? I would go with that, Andy. I mean, it's not a bad lunch. I mean, it's not too filling, but it's, that's not bad. I'll give that one to you. All right, cool. Jamie, you haven't chimed in. I'm assuming you just don't want to contemplate your own demise, or you just don't know what to say.
I didn't really want to get involved between them two. Their two fights, to be honest with you. Maybe one of them accidentally hit me. Probably just a fish and chips with a pea fritter or something like that.
You got to have a pea fritter in there.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, now here's where we can all probably chime in, because this is the meal of the day, dinner. Franco is a jerk. Thank you, Andy.
A reminder.
So basically, I guess this would be the last meal you'd have on Earth, because you've had breakfast, you've had lunch, and dinner's happening, and after that, So, what about dinner? Do you guys have a favorite meal? And I told Andy at the beginning of this question, it really depends if I'm going to be the one required to make it, or if it's being made for me, because there are differences. I mean, if I'm having something made for me, I would choose one thing. If I have to make it, I would probably choose another. But let's assume it's being made for you. So,
see, that's a trust issue for me.
Yeah, well, last day, who gives a flying? I mean, what are you going to worry about? I trust everybody if I'm going to die in an hour. It's like, what the hell? I got to lose. Sure, go ahead. Here's my car keys. Take a ride.
Do it,
if it's my last meal, I want to cook that bad boy. And I want it to be a thick lamb chop. Just a couple of them roasted. Like I like to stab them with a little bit of with a knife and just shove garlic cloves in there. And they just melt. They just melt out of there on the grill. And then some proper chips.
There you go.
Nice.
That works.
I'm going to go along that same sort of vein, and I am going to take about a 2-inch fillet, and I like to go in the side of it with a paring knife and create a pocket in there and stuff it with gorgonzola and mushrooms, portobellos, and you give that a twine wrap, and that gorgonzola goes through the entire fiber of the meat, and cook that rare. And then I would just have some basic, buttered broccoli and some really nice half butter, half sour cream mashed potatoes.
You are a bad man.
All right, here's
to kill you.
No, I see. I wouldn't stuff the meat that I make, but I would do the garlic to this, because this is probably my favorite meal. Is a salt encrusted prime rib, baked in an oven with the garlic already inserted into it. And then after that comes out of the oven, you crack the salt, pull off the shell, slice up the prime. Oh my God, that's so good.
Nice.
I would have that with like a twice baked potato. And probably, just because I have obscure flavors, I would probably do like an antipasto salad on the side, just because it would require, because you've got, the meat, the potato, which is kind of bland, with some au jus, obviously, for the prime rib. But then I would need kind of like, the salad would be the last thing I ate on that dinner, because it would be like kind of the dessert for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of eclectic, but I mean, that's basically what I would do. But I mean, last day on Earth, frankly, I don't care what norms you want me to live up to.
So
roast
for me,
goat.
Yeah, there you go.
That way it takes 24 hours to cook it.
Exactly. Yeah. Wait, it's not quite up to temp yet. Hold on.
Wait.
So for me, probably what I would do is I'd probably hire Al's Hack Shack to come and sit outside the settle.
Yeah.
I had one of his burgers at was it a couple of years ago now, just after Maker Central, when Jake and I went there. And normally a burger cooked on the barbecue at my house is literally a burger, grill, bun. But what he done to that burger, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what he done to it, but damn, it was nice.
Nice.
It's like, it'd be like, thank you, more.
And to be honest,
just a constant supply till I can't eat no more. And believe me, that it'll probably be a day until that's up.
to be honest, he should be sitting here. I mean, that man has got some skills, and he's actually done it.
Skills.
He's done it professionally.
Yeah, he's got some skills.
All right. Here's the here's the last question, and I'm sorry, in here. And it's to both of you because I know you both know how to cook. I mean, you've displayed that and shown it. I mean, I can't taste your pictures, but I can look at them and go, "That's going to be good." But how did you learn? What schooling, on the job, or are you self-taught?
For me, it was
Hunger.
What's that?
Hunger.
Yeah, that is true.
That would be self-taught, Jamie.
My mom was a Mennonite farm cook. It was basic, but it was what we called rib sticky. And it was solid, and it was designed to keep you in the field all day. So that was her background, and that's what got me going. But then going to Europe as a 17-year-old alone, that's where I really got developed and curious about how things develop. I mean, how, like simple things that are blow your mind.
Did that trip to Europe, and this is kind of a personal question, but I'm asking anyway. It's not like, do you have warts on your butt? What I'm saying is, did you develop your palate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting, because I was completely bucks low. So it was all street food. And everything from, stealing oranges off of the trains in Greece to, French, go to the butcher shop in France, and they'll have a little area where they make sandwiches for the guys to take to work with them, right? The tradesmen to take to work with them. And to me, when bread is done correctly enough that you need basil, butter, and a slice of salami on it, and it blows your mind, that to me was where it really went insane. And that to me is probably my two biggest influences. And
So
that and hanging around migrant workers in California, where I really got an appreciation for the Mexican food.
So you just kind of developed your own
style,
and then just
no schooling or anything. It's kind of like my making. I just sort of took off on my own. And
awesome. Franco, what about you? Did you do any schooling, or were you an on the job, or did you kind of self-teach yourself, or is basically mom your teacher? Or because that's basically where mine comes from. But go ahead.
Well, I'll jump in. I just have one question for Andy. So, like, yours is going to be so much different from mine, even though it's both self-taught. But you came at it, like you said, develop your palate, into your later teens as you're bumming around Europe. When you started discovering these flavors and the simplicity of the food and the stuff that you hadn't had before,
right?
Was it just mind blowing? I came from, tin noodles to now it's this.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was. I got goosebumps right now thinking about it, because to me, Europe, for one thing, the first thing that happened was it changed my sense of history, and then when you can feel one of your senses actually changing, it was really. I didn't hang out, and I still haven't hung out with any of my friends that I grew up with, because I came back like completely different and trying to experience things on a different level.
Yeah. See, if like me, it was, it's going to be cradle to the grave. It was, growing up with, and not appreciating it as I was growing up either. To be
Well,
honest
most of us don't.
Right. My parents were dirt poor, peasants who came from Italy. Even my brother was born over there. I was the first one born here. And everything that we made was just food is love. I mean, that's how we grew up. Everything that we, it was family around the table. Everything was made from scratch because we couldn't afford to do anything else. We didn't go out to eat, and we didn't, restaurants were practically the devil. I mean, it was, we couldn't afford it. Plus it was garbage whenever we had it, So it was mom and dad. I came over, and as a little kid, I'm crushing tomatoes and making sauce every year. We'd get 200 bushels of tomatoes and make sauce.
It was a chore. It was a thing. Yeah. There was no option.
Right. I mean, as a 10-year-old, helping dad make 200 gallons of wine every fall, friggin' sucked.
Yeah.
Every fall we also made prosciutto, which, I had American friends in grade school coming up, and they looked at that like, why do you have meat hanging from your ceiling?
I didn't think about that. For a 10-year-old going.
Yeah, that's my sister's last date. Don't worry about it. It's my sister's last date.
But yeah, I mean, we made everything. Salami, sopressata, prosciutto, sausage, all that was handmade at home.
Is there anything better than a good sopressata with a piece of friggin' really flavorful cheese? Oh my God, I love that stuff. Anyway,
my dad is, getting close to 80, and we still do it, and he won't let me anywhere near that cut of meat so I don't screw it up.
No, you're kidding, really?
Wow.
I would never pretend to know how to make my own sopressata, but I'm telling you, when it's done right. Oh, anyway.
But homemade pasta. That was Monday through Saturday. It was but even like peasant food. We had this one dish. It's called minestra, and it's just
be careful, because what you say about peasant food may be like my prime food. So just tread carefully there, Mr. Franco Noce. If you don't mind.
Well, see, like when I was a kid, this was stuff that was, it was the leftover Italian bread. You throw it in a pot, and you throw in like greens. And my friends weren't eating like collards or anything like that, or dandelion greens. They didn't know what that was. And then the leftover beans from the previous thing. But put that together and add like sauce and just that love that my mom and my dad were putting into it. And you're in heaven now. I would give anything for that, but it's something we don't make anymore because I have some means now.
Right. Tell me about that dish you were going down that road.
So minestra, it was basically just throw everything in the pot. It's just what you have. So it would be leftover ends of the bread, and that was getting crusty from the week. You threw that in the pot, and it's almost like it's just this big stew.
Nice.
And it could have beans in it. It can have like the kidney beans in it, or it can have some of the white wax beans in it. And then you've got a spicy sauce, because you got tomatoes. You just break them up, the whole, plum tomatoes that you got from the garden. And then whatever seasonings you got, because we're growing our own garlic, and, we've got the basil outside. My dad's, I've never seen a bay leaf tree, but my dad has one,
Of course. That's awesome.
All right. I don't want to remind me, Franco, because I want to ask you about sauce here in a second.
Sure.
And only because I know how to cook a little bit. I'll tell you that I didn't learn from schooling. I learned on the job because I was actually a professional. I was at one point in time considered a chef in a kitchen. But I was very, very young, and that was very many moons ago. But I learned most of what I learned from an Italian chef that worked above me. And then when he left the building, I was his protege, and so therefore they promoted me. And I'd lasted maybe about a year and a half, and then I was just done. Because at my age, I was like 20, 21 at the time, and it was just, I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. I mean, I enjoyed working in the kitchen, but if you if you don't know what the inner workings of a kitchen are, and you start thinking about a chef and what that he's responsible for or she is responsible for, it's a lot of pressure. And
I absolutely agree with you, because I could not work professionally with food, and I don't think I would enjoy it the way I do now.
I actually enjoyed it when I wasn't in charge, because I didn't feel the responsibility, because I was just cooking. I was just in there getting the orders out and making sure everything was fine. And I was making sure that guy was happy. And when hey, good job, Chris, I was like, hey, I made my freaking day. So but I learned from a good guy. As far as I don't know. I want to get back to that sauce question, and Andy, I'm going to ask you first because Franco's going to have a very Italian take, I know, on this, but I'm going to ask you. Because if you're any kind of cook out there, then at some point in your culinary history, you have made a red sauce, whether it was for pasta, whether it was for pizza, or if it was for lasagna. Because there's baking sauces. But you have made a red sauce. Tomato of choice, Andy. What do you prefer to use? And I know that getting fresh Roma or plum tomatoes for some people can be an issue. So sometimes you have to buy canned and whatever. I'm just asking if you're going to make a red sauce, what kind of sauce, what kind of tomato are you reaching for in order to make that sauce? Let's say it's a pasta sauce, not a baking sauce, a pasta sauce.
San Marzano.
Yeah.
If
it's got a nice balance, not too acidic. I just think it stands up well, and it's. I don't have to think about it too much. I'm not educated enough on that to be honest. That's just been my go-to.
Yeah. If you're stuck and you're not, your dad's not making 200 bushels of tomatoes into sauce, there's a brand that I go to. So if I'm stuck, and it's called Cento. It's this yellow can. It's usually bottom of the shelf. People don't go to it. It's not flashy.
Is that the CIENTO?
Yeah.
CIENTO, right?
Yeah, CENTO. So Cento, and it's San Marzano Italian tomatoes, and just the crushed. There's nothing else in it. There's no seasonings. You do that yourself. Put that in your pot or your pan, and you're going.
Yeah, baby.
See, I'm lucky enough to get fresh, both plum and Roma tomatoes here in the Northeast, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a good climate for them to grow them. So I usually do that, and I end up having to peel them, and then I crush them myself. So then I make my own sauce. But there are times when they're not obviously in season. In the dead of winter, you have to go buy that, and so. But I have never used the Cento tomatoes, Franco. So I'm going to take that as a tip, and I'll thank you for it because I may give that a go because it's one of those things when. When it's dead cold winter outside and there's 12 inches of snow on the ground, the first thing that you want is to barbecue. It's like, right. Are you nuts? It's like, but it's that belligerent person in me that all of a sudden says, "Oh, to hell with it! I'm doing it anyway. I don't give a shit." And so it's the same thing with the pasta sauce. It's like, yeah, you can't do it because it's not in season. Oh, well, bite me. I'm doing it anyway.
Right.
One of my favorite tips that I give people, and they always thank me about it later, and this is directly from my parents. Whatever sauce that you're making, we always, get a fresh piece of Parmesan, but we never throw away the rind.
The rind, exactly.
Yeah, you take that, throw that in your sauce, and just let that simmer in there all damn day.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a secret. If you guys are stuck using canned tomatoes, whatever they may be, that you do use, if you're making a sauce out of that. And I think you guys will back me up on this. Sometimes that sauce comes out tasting a little bitter. And I don't want to say it tastes like the tin can it came in, but it's got that kind of bitter flavor to it. There's a way to get rid of that. And it will, and if you cook it correctly, and the way to get rid of that is to take a carrot and a potato peeler and peel that carrot all the way down to the core using a potato peeler, and then chop that carrot up as finely as you possibly can and put that in the sauce, and it will take that bitterness away, and it will bring the sweetness out of the sauce. It's one of those kind of elements that it's like onions that enhance a steak. And mushrooms enhance the flavor of a steak. Carrots will enhance the flavor of a tomato in a sauce. It's you'll never taste the carrot. You'll never even see it because as soon as you put it in the red sauce, the carrot turns red. You'll never know it's there. But it will help the flavor of the tomato. So if you guys ever get stuck and you're wondering what to do about a sauce that tastes bitter to you, that's what you do.
We've got a question out in the chat from Mackenzie Relu. So first of all, hello, Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie.
She says, question for Andy and Franco. Do you guys prefer to follow recipes or come up with your own thing?
Go ahead, Franco.
It depends on the day. Are you feeling wild and want to get crazy with it? Or do you want a good base and then you just build off of it? Don't follow recipe word for word and think it's going to be gospel because it doesn't know your oven. It doesn't know your ingredients. So, be flexible.
We have a rule between Susanna and I that if we're trying something that we haven't done, we follow a recipe by the letter the first time.
Right.
It never is followed again. But that is, like Franco said, that's the basis for, if you only follow it by oven temp or whatever, that's enough. But, it's a background. And that's one of my favorite things to do is just kind of go through the internet and see, that if I did X, Y, or Z, it would turn out differently. But I would say 90% of what I cook is never. Well, Suze gets mad at me because I can never make it again.
Well, see, I'm totally different. First of all, I'll agree with you. The book I wrote, I told people that when you're first cooking, cook the recipe as it is instructed to cook. That way, when you eat it, you'll know it needs this, it doesn't need that. It gives you a chance, and you can go back and adjust the recipe. And so I always follow recipes, but I have a pad and paper in my kitchen every time I cook, especially in circumstances like we're talking about here. And I write down everything I put in whatever I'm making. And then I know how to adjust later. I mean, I know Andy's like, but I'll tell you why I do that. It's because I'm the antithesis of Andy. It's because I want to be able to make this again if it turns out good, and because there's no way in hell I'm going to remember it. It's like, but I will tell you that anybody who's been in the kitchen and has cooked for a long time, if you give them a recipe, I will bet you my last dollar, every single person will look at that recipe and go, I'm going to tweak that. I'm going to tweak this. I'm going to tweak that. They will not follow the recipe exactly as written. They will go, no, that would suck. I'm not doing that. I'm putting this in here instead. And they will, it's a guide. Recipes are more of a guide than they are like a commandment, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, don't, and then like I try and always tweak the recipe, even on the first one, to be honest with you, especially if I don't like it, because then I hate that person for the rest of my life.
There you go.
Kind of like Franco.
Yeah, he's son of a.
I did that with a Mexican dish that I just thought, this ought to be good once. My wife is Mexican, and I cooked it and I let her have it, and she. My wife is a very polite individual, and she just kind of looked at me and went, and I went, and then I had a bite of it, and I went, oh, that really sucks, doesn't it? She goes, yeah, it kind of does. What else do we have? And the whole dish went right into the trash because it was just not good. But, that happens when you're experimenting. It's like, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But if you know what you're doing, more times you'll probably come out with it being digestible, at least. Sometimes like that time you'll come out going, let's order pizza.
I think this relates directly into making, though.
Oh, absolutely, it does.
Oh yeah.
People want to say, well, how do you make, for instance, I've been in this Gothic chair mode lately. It's like, well, how do you make that? Boy, you just start and guess your way. I mean, the best part about cooking for me is, unlike everything else I make, whether it's photography or in the wood shop or whatever, there's a different sense involved. Mm-hmm. And to me, a life goal is to live out there on the edge of my senses, right? I want to see more, smell more, feel more, taste more. What's the other one? Hear more than other people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And taste to me is, it's a freaking time portal to me. If you do something right and it goes to, Franco as a 10-year-old, that's right. Magic. What other thing does that transports you just like a jet to that space?
Yeah. And like the way I bring it up with making as well is, same thing with the recipe. I mean, if I'm following someone's plans, or if I'm doing something where I'm making, or if I'm cooking, if I screw up, who knows other than I do? Then
absolutely,
that's your thing that you've made, and people are going to appreciate it because they can't do it.
Here's how I equate it. I equate it with making this much the same what you guys are talking about, but I kind of break it down to where, in everything that you make, there are steps that you take, and it's the beginning. And it's and it's all the steps that end up giving you the final product. cooking is the same thing.
Mhm.
It's the little steps that end up giving you the final product. And and I've been on the bad side of the making community when it comes to final products more times than I'd like to count, because I have done the steps because I'm following my instincts, and all of a sudden I look at it, and when it's done, I go, that sucks. So it's like,
It looks okay.
who made that? I mean, if I guess if one foot is shorter by 3 inches than the other, that looks level. But but cooking is the same thing. It's a matter of putting the steps together to come up with a final product. And so the two, I think, are very much intertwined. That's why when we started this today, I asked you guys if you thought cooking was part of the maker community, and it absolutely is, because it's the same thought process.
Yeah, without doubt.
I've said it. If I'm on a vacation, a lot of times we'll rent a house, but if I can't be physically making something, cooking and photography are the two things I go to be able to make something every day. Because to me, it's the exact same, just like mainline creativity.
And it's like Franco says, it's you get to put your hands into your work.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So there's another question for Berkey and Franco. Whilst cooking, boxes or briefs?
Andy's answered that more times than he cares to, but Franco, since you're the virgin, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, don't start with that.
No, Andy has already forbade me from saying
yes,
the other phrase.
yes.
Anyway,
it's boxer briefs. I need to be held in. Well, I've been a fan of this show, so I couldn't wait to answer. The other things I've been wanting to say is, Richard, where's the stool? Team Scroll Saw. And Chris, what were you thinking?
What did you say?
And Chris, what were you saying when you said? What were you thinking when you said that? God
I have no. Well, I'll tell you exactly, because the first time that question was asked was to Nicole Butcher, and Richard said specifically to Jamie and I, make sure you don't ask her,
stupid
questions that are like obvious, like what's your favorite tool? And he was real, he was poignant about it. Don't go asking her stupid questions. So I did. All right, I'll ask her if she wears boxers or briefs. I mean, she's a chick. I mean, maybe she can answer that probably pretty easily. And then Jamie picked up on it and just took off with it. I got one more question, then Jamie, we're going to have to endure your vocalization.
Yes.
God help us all. Mackenzie in the chat says, do you guys find a huge part of your ego in dishes you give to others to the point where if it's not enjoyed, it can be a huge bummer? Or are you just happy to give it and have it received? That's a good question, Mackenzie, because I will save Andy and Franco and let you know how little of a man I am. And I will tell you, I see that as a huge bummer because, I put a lot of ego in what I cook. But anyway, go ahead, guys.
Franco, go ahead.
Listen, my family, when people came to visit, and still to this day, you have got to eat. Or you are rude. I gave the guys I left there today. I'm stuffed to the gills. And the visual I gave them was, that feeling of holding two sides of the hefty bag and you're just shoving your foot in to get more. That's my parents.
Italians.
And so they'll watch you eat. So I've got, yes. Did you like it? So yeah, I've got that in me, and it's nothing I can do. I've seen a shrink.
I'm the same way. I do it to my wife every time I make dinner. I ask her the same thing. How's that? Does it taste good? Does it taste good? How's it good? It's fine, honey. Let me friggin' eat. It's like, anyway, go ahead, Jamie. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt you.
And so I was just going to say, it'd be kind of like trying to stand in a carrier bag and then try and lift yourself up in it.
Exactly.
Andy, you got any ego in the stuff you cook, or is just, I did it and, hey, like it if you like it. If you don't, then,
No.
There's a taco store around the corner.
I don't know about ego, but work. I mean, it's investment. It's I put part of my soul into that,
mm-hmm.
and the worst thing, I mean, it's kind of different than Franco, but I remember the last time I just said, I'm never cooking for them again. And it was for some people that they were like taking stuff and just like mashing it into their mouth. You know what I mean? And there was no way that they could taste the freaking 6 hours I spent, busting that out. And it was like, so yeah, I guess I have to say it's different, but I do definitely, if I sit down, I'm always the last to sit. And if I sit down and people are eating, I've always said, and this is with all due respect, Franco, but I've always said part of me is an Italian grandma, because I'm doing the same thing. I am, sorting it out and making sure that everybody, has a go at and is thoroughly enjoying what I cook. So yeah, I have to say there's ego in there.
If you were here right now, buddy, I'd grab your head and kiss both your cheeks.
Baby. Come on.
Come on. No, we don't want to have any of that. It's kind of like an actor, an amateur actor on stage who's been working for months on a play, and the only reward they get is the applause when the curtain call is called. And they either get it or they don't. And it's kind of like that. It's cooking. It's either people are really loving it or they're just going, yeah, that was good. And then you just know they're being polite and that wasn't. So yeah, I mean, to me anyway, Mackenzie, that's kind of a hit to the ego.
Yeah. I need to see someone grab that piece of bread and just wipe up that last little bite.
Oh,
the last warm tortilla, and they're just like grabbing the guac, the last of the guac bowl, and just getting in after it.
when they lick the plate, that's the best. It's like
yeah.
So
you can leave some ceramic on the plate if you like.
Exactly. The glaze.
There was a pattern on this, China, before we got to it. All right, Jamie, do your thing, brother.
All right, it's time for Jamie's page.
Oh, God.
Right. I'm not going to mention the usual stuff this week. What I am going to do is give a shout out to I guess you could call him the unofficial host of the show, Mr. Andy Pugh. He helps us out a lot of every single week with the questions. So make sure you go and follow all of Andy's social medias and all that good stuff. We'll make sure there's links everywhere down in the description and all that good stuff. And when we release the show again on the Wednesday, for all of Andy's stuff, so make sure you go and follow him. He's also got his own podcast, so make sure you go and check that out as well. So yeah, make sure you check out Andy
and leave awkward questions on his timeline.
Yeah, definitely go and do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
whatever they may be.
Like 1 + 1. So my actual shout out goes to a YouTube channel called Roy's Box. It's all one word. I don't know if you remember last week I was talking about the off-center jig that I just bought. It's an off-center jig anyway. I just bought it. And I found a channel, obviously called Roy's Box. So this guy's been making some real nice patterns with it, and he makes some real nice stuff. Obviously not just using that, but yeah, he's a great channel. Not got very many subscribers, but some of the stuff that he does make, he deserves a hell of a lot more. So
awesome.
Yeah, Roy's Box, all one word.
And for those of you who don't speak Jamie, he said that's Roy's Box. Well, I mean, sometimes an interpretation is needed with you, Paige. I'm sorry, there is.
Roy's Box, like aluminum.
Franco, you got one?
Local boy for me, Tim Cunningham from the Urban Forge.
Yeah,
great dude. He's let me come into the shop and come into the makerspace, and every time I go there, he just gracious. He really is the Bob Vila of blacksmithing. He's just such a lovable guy, and he just like I said, he's been teaching me so much, and then being able to squish hot metal together is probably one of my great new loves.
So the Awesome Forge. And by the way, all the links to these shout outs are in the description today down below, and they will be in there as well again on Wednesday. I guess it has to do something with making. I mean, somebody had to make the darn thing. My shout out goes to the SpaceX folks today who landed the Crew Dragon's inaugural flight, and the boys got out of it and they're all safe and sound. And I just think that's awesome. So
nicely done.
That had my attention most of the week. I was watching the progress on that. So I apologize if I missed your fantastic video, but I couldn't get past SpaceX and what they were doing. So that's mine.
Again, live in amazing times. Just unbelievable.
Absolutely. Feel like a little kid watching this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, for Chris and I, back in the 60s, they would wheel in into the elementary school room, and you were just like, oh.
Back in our day, they were launching that Gemini thing, and then they graduated to that Apollo, and then they shot the man to the moon.
It is amazing times, really. I mean, there's all these hair transplants going on. Berkey's still bald.
I still kind of need one, but I mean, I got hair, but it's it's just up there always.
It's efficient, not bald.
I've seriously thought about shaving my head, but then I looked at myself and went, no, no, it's bad enough as it is. Cute, let's not ruin it.
We kind of already did it, but I gotta just give it to Al,
Mr. Hackshack.
Mr. Hackshack, I can see that. Al section.
The guy, like I say, he should be here instead of me. That's for darn sure. And
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Jamie and Franco are now the best of friends.
I love you, buddy. I love you.
Come here, give it to me.
Give me a kiss. Come on, eh? Come on.
Much like Franco.
Franco, we did it again.
Hey.
Well, we should do the show again and have him with us because that would be fun.
Heck
We absolutely should. He gave me some tips today. I was texting him, messing with him this morning. So
very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, wrap it up, man.
I guess that's it. Are we doing a not for Patreon because we're not on Patreon and carry on for a little bit longer?
Because Franco's been trying to control his language the entire episode here, so we need to let him out of the box and let him, let a few F-bombs fly.
Right. Okay. So everybody that's out in the chat, thank you for joining us today. And until next week, we shall see you later. And if you weren't out in the chat, sorry. See you later, everybody.
Ciao.
Have a great week, everybody.
Love you.